Good day, everyone. It's Daniel here, and this is our next Emotional English Podcast episode where we learn an English language effortlessly, emotionally, fulfilled with energy, and of course, positively. So, today I have another episode for you guys, very powerful episode about freedom. Freedom. What is freedom for you? And how can we define it? That's the topic what we're going to discuss today. I'm using the website. It's called www.aristotlecafe.com, and they have little topic there, what is freedom? And I'm going to discuss some questions here. What does freedom mean to us? And some more questions, what other people think about freedom, successful people, and an average person, right? So it's going to be quite interesting. And of course, we're going to use this topic for learning English, right? So we're discussing freedom of speech, financial freedom, or something else. Let's see what they've prepared to us. Actually, what I've prepared for you guys. So we're going to read a couple quotes and we're going to dive into it and discuss it even better. Okay. So let's start our discussion with a couple questions. So what does freedom mean to you? Does it mean time freedom? Or it's your ability to choose what you want to do without worrying? Maybe it's a financial freedom, or maybe it's an ability to not worry about money. It's all topics about freedom. And it can be the freedom of speech, right? Maybe it can be the freedom or an ability to think, right? To wonder about things. And maybe it can be just something what we complain about, right? We dislike our government. We dislike our neighbors, right? And this opportunity to think and to say words, it's our freedom. Is it so? Let's see. So I want to say the quote from one guy. So one person defined basic freedom as when you do not feel any. When you do not feel any, let's say, limitations, right? I would say any limitations, or when you do not feel any what? Come on. Constraints, probably. Yeah. Any constraints, right? What does it mean, constraints? Constraints, it means the limitations, right? Or restrictions. As the person said here, when you don't feel any constraints, it means that you're free. No limits, no limitations, no restrictions, right? No barriers. And we can define three constraints, right? Constraint number one, limit number one, it's physical constraint. It's probably about our body, right? So our body has some limits, and if you're not good at sport, so probably you do have physical constraints, right? So then we have mental constraints, right? Our mental limitation or limitations, right? Our mental restrictions. For example, if I'm mentally weak, right? Let's say I have some troubles with, let's say I cannot speak with people out of my comfort zone. Let's say the new people on the street, right? I cannot speak with them randomly. It means that I do have some mental limitations, right? And maybe another one here, it's the emotional constraint that actually connected to this case as well. So it's my kind of feedback, right? It's my emotionality. If we speak English and we do it emotionally, we use this state of freedom, right? Something is limiting us when we're just, hello, how it's going, right? When we're not using our emotions, when we're not using our emotional state. So something is missing, right? And this is the emotional constraint as well, because it's the limit, because it's the restriction. Some restrictions kind of inherited with our experiences from the past, right? But some of them had created by us, right? And we can just see it from from kind of bad experiences or whatever. We can inherit it from our bad experiences, right? Or somebody else can give it to us, right? Just limit us. Let's say our parents, they limit their kids, right? And these limitations, these kind of constraints, they can block our freedom, right? And that is the thing. So the guy, the United States president, his name is Franklin Roosevelt, right? Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He said once that he kind of defined four statements, right? Four types of freedoms, right? And he said that freedom, it's the freedom of speech or expression. It's the number one priority. So when you do have a freedom of speech, when you can speak out loud, when you can say something you think of, right? It is your freedom. It's the representation of freedom. When you can express your emotions, when you can express your feelings, so you do have freedom. But it's not all. He said three more things. He said that freedom of every person to worship God is a freedom as well. So you can decide which God you want to devote your energy to, right? So you can worship a God in the way you like it, right? If I like Shiva, I devote my energy and I'm worshiping Shiva. If I like Jesus Christ, so I do have some activities related to worshiping to Jesus Christ. So that's the freedom of me to choose what God is good for me, right? Or what is the energy of God is better for me. So if the energy of Jesus Christ is kind of closer to me, so I choose to worship Lord Jesus Christ. If I respect Krishna, so I feel that Krishna is good, so I worship Krishna, right? It's worshiping, it's the process when you devote your energy to something big, to something marvelous, right? Like God. And we worship our gods, right? If you don't believe in God, it's okay. You're a worshiper as well. Why? Because you believe in concepts, right? And you're worshiping your concepts, right? It's like a god, right? Your philosophy is like a god. If you're not a believer, you still a worshiper, okay? So, and we can decide it on our own way. So that's what the Franklin Roosevelt said. Another thing he said that freedom of want is another way of freedom, right? If of course he meant this freedom of want in the way of economic stability can be achieved, right? So let's imagine if you want a house, right, you can have it. If you want to buy an iPhone, you can buy it. But you know what? There is a thing here. It's not only about wanting something, right? It's sometimes about wanting something which is here and now. Because if somebody has not created something yet, it means you cannot have it. You cannot. There is no iPhone. How can you have an iPhone if nobody has created it, right? This is the big thing. So you should know what you want, and it must be realistic. Or, it's not the freedom. It's just an illusion, okay? So freedom of fear, another statement he said, it means that, what did he say? He said that you aren't in physical danger or fearing for your life or the life of those who you love. Okay, makes sense. So he said something about the fear, that fear is essential. So you shouldn't be scared, right, of the environment you are in. So you shouldn't be scared of people who live close to you. They don't want to kill you because they have the freedom as well. So good people are good people. They don't want to kill anybody, right? They respect the rules. They following the rules. They're obeying rules. Okay. And we're going kind of closer to one of the quotes I've prepared for you guys. And this quote is quite interesting one. And now I'm just having my own discussion with you. So the thing is, the nature of education is the paradox of freedom. This is a very big thing because this is the constraint which I see. Because idiomatically, or not idiomatically, just basically, the nature of education itself is the limitation, right, of our energy, of our potential, or in a short time period, for sure. For example, let's say I want to be a financier, right? I want to be a financier worker, a financier, right? So the banking, let's say the person who works in the bank, it's okay. I can go and I can work for the bank, but the problem is I should get some education, and this is the obligation. So I have to get an education, right? So it means somebody is asking me to finish something I don't want. Okay? Yes, you want to work in the bank, but you say, I don't want to study. It's my freedom of choice. I don't want to study. And there are some limits out there. And that's why it's pretty big paradox, right? So the nature of education is the paradox of freedom. And, another example for you, let's imagine I wake up every day, I read a book, and I can spend this time playing computer game, right? I can play Minecraft. It's my freedom, right? But I do read a book because I think in the long run. In the short run, of course, I'm losing my freedom. But in the long run, I have a bigger freedom. I have bigger potential, right, in life. So if I do learn, I lose my freedom. But then after some time, I can have more freedom than before, right? So, and it is true. Some people say that it's better not to know things. It's better be not aware of things to feel better. And I quite agree with that. But you're losing the freedom. If you know a little, it means that you know not much, and it means that you're not having enough freedom. You don't have enough thoughts. It means that you're using just a limited amount of information in your mind. And this is the opposite of freedom. When you have read so many books, it means that you achieved something big. Because now you have more variety of thoughts, right? So you have big variety of thoughts. You can think deeply, and that's naturally the freedom, okay? That's the first quote I wanted to discuss you. So this is a big paradox, right? The nature of education is the paradox of freedom, and I quite agree with that. The next statement I want to say, so is ignorance freedom, right? So is ignorance freedom? Ignorance, it's a good word. When you don't know, when you're not aware of things like we discussed before, right? When you're not aware of news or of some kind of book, you're ignorant, right? You're kind of wasting your time not knowing things because you try to avoid an education. You try not to face something important. And some people call it ignorance. And if you're a person, you can call yourself ignorant person, right? Some people say, man, why you are not reading historical books. You're so ignorant because without knowing your history, you don't understand your reality, right? Where you live in. And I quite agree with that. It is true. But there is one more thing. Ignorance is not always, it's just the thought, right? Ignorance is the thought of somebody else. For example, if you don't know what yoga is, I can call you ignorant. But is it true? It's only my subjective side. If you don't know something I believe in or I trust the most, you're not an ignorant person. So it's very, very subjective, right? So ignorance is a subjective thing, as freedom as well. So freedom is a subjective statement as well. So ignorance can be a freedom because you're kind of avoiding the book, right? If you don't want to read a book, you're avoiding the book, right? You're not reading it. And then you're getting kind of ignorant from the one perspective. But from another perspective, you have even more freedom than before because you're kind of avoiding the activity you dislike. You get what I'm saying? So this is the case. When you think about freedom, it's very subjective. Do you have freedom when you should, when you have to read a book, or you're free when you ignoring reading a book, right? That is the question. And the next, last but not least statement I want to discuss is the society, right? How the society contributed to our freedom. So has society contributed to our freedom or it has not contributed to our freedom? Contributed, it means created, right? When society contributed to our freedom, it means that society kind of rely or I would say more influence, right? So influencing our freedom. And we have our freedom in the reason of society. It's kind of interconnected. Why? Because we do have the historical impact, right? So I remember the time when we had the time of Russian Empire, right? During the Russian Empire time, they had crazy time, right? When people were not free. But again, it depends. It all depends on our life perspective. When you do have food, when you do have the person like an employer, right, who is giving you the place to sleep, the place to eat, the food and everything else. So it could be the limitation, right? But we do have some limitations with credits. We do have the limitation with debts. When you're a debt-free person, you have freedom, financial freedom. But when you have so many obligations, when you have big credits not paid, right? When you're not debt-free, it is the absence of freedom, okay? And our society kind of contributed to our freedom because if we have the, let's say today we live in capitalism, right? If a capitalism society kind of connects to your life, right? You have an opportunity to buy things, but you're using financial instruments, and when you're not having enough money to afford your phone, you're using credits, right? And credits, they're kind of limiting your freedom because you cannot stop working anymore, right? You must work because you have no chance to avoid your payment, okay? Because you should pay for your credit every month, right? Monthly, right? You have a monthly payment, and this is very dangerous. So, and this is a big thing. When society say that gay people is okay, you can say yes or no, right? It's from the first perspective, you can limit this topic for your own discussion, and I dislike to speak about it, but I do have some personal thoughts on it, right? But I don't want to share it with you right now. The case is very open because when the society is thinking about something, they create limitations automatically. Let's imagine when I think what is a healthy way of living, right? I'm kind of creating some limitations in my life. Why? Because now I cannot eat burgers. Now I cannot eat hot dogs. Now I cannot eat pizza because it's not very healthy, right? And this is a big contribution, right? So when people believe that healthy way of living is great and alcohol is good, this group contribute to my life, to my freedom, a lot. Okay, and in this case, I think it can be a good influence or bad influence or contribution. Okay, so when I create this, when I'm making this podcast, I believe that some people gonna listen to my speech, right, to my thoughts, and they will improve their listening skill, or they will learn some new vocabulary, right? And I think in a positive way about it, right? It's a good influence, and it gives you more freedom because you have a chance to learn English and then use it in your daily life. But some people, they can promote negative ideas, right? They can promote cigarettes or they can promote alcohol. And this is a negative contribution. It's a negative influence to your life, to your freedom, because when you addicted to something, you're not free. You are not free when you're addicted to sugar, when you're addicted to alcohol, or when you're addicted to cigarettes. It is very dangerous. So that's why we should know for sure where we live in and what kind of society surrounding us, right? If good society is surrounding us, it's a good thing. If, let's say, we live globally, right? If we think globally, we think of a society of human beings, right? Who live life and have fun, a lot of fun. But I don't want to be in this type of society because most think what people think is fun is very distractive, is not very positive for me. Okay, so I should do something else then. And the last quote I want to say here is, when you discover who you are, you will be free. Just think of it. When you discover who you are, you will be free. Or I will say about myself, when I discover who I am, I will be free. And this question is very, I would say, okay, not that banal, I would say, because you can say, yeah, you're discovering life, you're discovering yourself, who you are, right? And you're becoming better and better, right? You're becoming free. But it is not true because, like I said before, you see more and you see some negative impacts as well. And sometimes it can destroy you somehow, right? And when you are destroying yourself, let's say, I remember myself. Okay, let me just stop this thought. I will change my thought right away. So I remember myself when I was a kid, I thought of different things a lot. And I remember when I discovered the chance of traveling, right? When I discovered the idea of traveling, I realized that, wow, I can go whatever I want, right? And I can see other people, other cultures, other countries, and this is so good. And then one moment I realized that it's not always great because when I face other cultures, it influences a lot on my life, right? And I should do other activities, and now when I've seen how other people lived, right, I cannot live as a person before my transformation, right? I should change my life. And this is very dangerous because you can feel bad for no reason. For example, yesterday I was very depressed. I had a lot of negative thoughts in my mind, and all these thoughts were there, right? And I've lost almost the whole day for nothing, right? Because I was fulfilled with distraction, information, and that was not a good influence on my life. And can I say that it was a freedom? No, because I've learned, and then it just disappeared. But that freedom disappears very fast. Okay, that's what we should know and discover. But from the other hand, right, from another type of activity, we can say that as more we discover, as more chances we have to learn and grow, and this is freedom as well. And I agree with that, but life is very complicated, and you cannot say what is true, what is not true, because it's a big, big thing. And I believe that you guys will find your own definition of freedom, your own understanding what is freedom. What is freedom of speech for you? What is financial freedom? Right? It mustn't be the society obliged thing, right? It must be something you created in your mind, right? If you live life and 100K rubles is okay for you, just live this beautiful life with this amount, right? Don't be manipulated by some politicians or stupid people abroad. Just realize what is freedom for you. When people say that Russia has no freedom, it's all kind of bullshit, because if you decide or define the freedom on your own, you can say what is freedom. You can define it. Nobody else can say, not Vladimir Putin, not Joe Biden, not another president can say what is freedom to you, right? You define it. And if you defined it correctly, you'll live beautiful life. You will live life fulfilled and emotional and, just great in general. Think of it. Think of it. And I wish a lot of love to you all, guys. I hope you had a lot of fun today. We discussed the little topic. I still have a little negative mood, and that's why my speech is kind of depressive still. I'm sorry for that, but maybe next podcast episode will be greater than today's one. And I hope to see you very soon. Be positive, be fulfilled, be cool, and no matter what, commit, never quit. If you want to learn English, just do it, and have a lot of luck with you, okay? Thank you all, and I see you very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.